We're about to catch up with the CEO and co-founder of Milestone Pay, which is a terrific addition to the business sector, especially if you're a freelancer like so many of us are these days. His name is Ryan Handby, and he loves educating and building tools for freelancers and for contractors worldwide. He's a pretty good guy, hard worker, and he's notching up little milestones everywhere. Ryan, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you very much, George. It's great to be here.
Now, you mentioned just before you came on that since the last interview, you guys are continuing to grow, which is awesome news and goes very much to what you've been doing. You're providing a very solid platform for a whole bunch of people who've never had something that they could call their own. Is that fair?
Oh, that's totally fair. Yeah, they've just been a completely underserved, sorry, and completely ignored part of the market, and by the government. Both sides of things at the moment are
you mentioned something
very difficult for freelancers.
You mentioned something. I was just going to ask you, why are so many freelancers and small business operators continuing in 2020 to get such a raw deal from government?
Well, it's just an interesting space to be a sort of a small business and even a solo or like duo operator.
Sole trader.
Australia. There's that entire demographic of people has been generally sort of overlooked throughout the entirety of COVID. Like you get like skipped on sort of job keeper and job seeker and job maker, all those things. They all completely skip this really small businesses, the micro businesses in Australia, and they're sort of designed for sort of medium to larger enterprises to keep them sort of tracking on. And the freelancers and people that I've spoken to have been kind of left behind by that, but they've been tracking on and they've been doing wonderfully, a lot of them, and some of them have struggled. But we've been here to try and make sure that they can recoup a lot of the payments that they may have been having problems with.
You touched on struggling. Why are so many of them getting such a raw deal from big business too?
Well, at the moment, it's pretty uncompetitive, right? Like there's the big business that's getting sort of pumped with all these extra government funds and things, so they can hire more people, they can do bigger projects, they can continue moving on with work and getting stuff done. Whereas then there's the freelancer side of the economy that are sort of still having to make their own way, forge their own path. They're less supported. So if they wanted to say compete in some space with a slightly larger business, they almost can't, just because of that sort of disparity in level footing at the moment. But at the same time, starting to get to the end of COVID, we're sort of looking to hopefully sort of bring that balance back into perspective, and MilestonePay is trying to help with that as well.
Now, while we're coming to the end of the so-called huge COVID impact in Australia, and we're slowly getting to see the borders open, you do an awful lot of work offshore. What's the feedback been like, and how things are tracking?
So working with people overseas has been pretty similar. There is some steady work in certain countries. Some countries have slowed down a lot based on their position with COVID at the moment, particularly like the US and other places like that. The digital natives are still doing okay because they can do a lot of work from home. But the general contractors, the small sort of tradies and other businesses that are trying to get out there and get things done are all having to still worry about being sort of hit by the COVID stick, and everybody else is just trying to truck on like everyone has been this year. And I'm happy that sort of me down here in Victoria, we've sort of been leading that charge and being able to get out of that situation ourselves. But unfortunately for a lot of overseas customers we're still just having to talk to them via Zoom and hope that they're able to leave their house one day.
Is there a way to make up for some of these truly substantial losses that you guys have experienced, and so many freelancers and others are still experiencing? I know, for example, in the event space, there's been no space. There's zip has been happening. So I can imagine all those people feeling incredibly under the pump with almost no outlet. How do we claw back some of those losses, which I'm sure for a great many people are almost too much?
Well, it's interesting you say that, because we've actually been speaking to quite a number of people ourselves that have been in the event space, even some of the people in the hospitality space that have been starting to lean on some of their extra digital skills and things and becoming freelancers themselves. We've actually onboarded two people that used to be working in a bar and cafe environment in the last few weeks onto the platform, and they're becoming sort of their own sort of writers in the space. So they're starting to use the platform for freelance writing and designing and developing. And there's just a lot of work sort of moving away from that space while they can, and so that they can still recoup some of the losses that they have for the
Ryan Handby's the CEO of Milestone Pay. We're talking to him about some of the challenges that small business and solo traders have been coping and trying to get ahead on, and get a grasp of the enormity of the challenges. If people are considering maybe retraining, retooling, reschooling, doing everything to try and find a new path for themselves, what sort of advice do you have for them, Ryan?
I would 100% tell people that it is almost fundamental these days to at least start developing some extra skills so you can supplement your income on the side, particularly with things like COVID and other pandemics around the corner. There's always a time where it's good to be able to fall back on something else rather than just your day job. And freelancing and moonlighting is one way to do that. And there are so many skills that you can learn online these days for free. Like YouTube is a wonderful place. Google, plenty of blogs, plenty of podcasts. There are ways to upskill and ways to make your life better if you take the steps to do so, and don't let everyone else sort of trod you back while you're doing it. And I'd say sort of be confident in your own ability, because there's a lot of jobs out there that are going sort of for people in the digital space that like for the rest of the country, I think there was about sort of 2 to 4 jobs in every 108 job opportunities that were sort of required in the digital space. There's certainly a lot more openings, but there's just not a lot of there's a decent skills gap in that area with people that aren't upskilling and coming into it.
Well, we're going to see so many more jobs, I'm sure, come, because there are so many new ideas being contemplated all the time. And I think COVID has been a catalyst for that. People have, as you say, have had to pivot. There's that word again. And they've done it like you've never done it before. Now, tell me, before we finish, Milestone Pay, you haven't quite got it on the app yet. Are we getting closer?
We are getting closer to an app. You'll see that probably in the next 3 to 4 months. Don't hold me to that, but that's where we're almost there. So you'll be able to use it on an app while you're going around, and you'll be able to do that in person with people. At the moment, just fully on the desktop, and it now does work on mobiles. We've actually made the UI work nicely if you go to the website, but at the same time, the dedicated app will be coming within the next 3 to 4 months.
Ryan Handby, the man from Milestone Pay. If you want to see what we've been talking about, have a good look. Get on the website. What's the website again, Ryan?
It's www.milestonepay.com. That is it.
And more importantly, it's been designed uniquely for freelancers and sole traders. Mate, all the very, very best.
Thank you very much, George.